Yes, podcast episode artwork is becoming more and more important for your podcast, and it absolutely is worth your time to spend creating it. Here's an audio snippet from episode 246 of The Feed, the official Libsyn podcast, where I chat with my co-host Rob Walsh, VP of Podcaster Relations at Libsyn, all about where podcast artwork makes the biggest difference, how it can help you grow your audience, and some workflows to make episode artwork creation as easy as possible for you. Don't leave now. The following is audio only, but it's so worth your while. Let's get to it.
Question. I recently got an email from Apple saying that episode artwork will be available in iOS 17. I get the importance of artwork, but how important is it to spend the extra time creating episode-specific artwork? Thanks, guys. And this is from Tim.
Okay, so Tim, first, let's read an email Apple sent to Libsyn about episode artwork that they wanted us to share with podcasters. So I'll read here. Quote, I'm writing to share how episode art appears in Apple Podcasts app and provide some best practices to share with podcasters when provided episode art appears on. By the way, this is per iOS 17, right? Episode pages displayed front and center and with show art displayed underneath it. On the show pages, it's displayed alongside the title and description for each episode. Under Now Playing, it appears as the main art with show art displayed in a new section underneath it. On the lock screen, the episode artwork is displayed in the media control section. Tap to expand the art to full screen. In Control Center, push Control Center to access detailed media controls, including a podcast's art. Under Listen Now, features an all-new design for up next. When an episode includes episode artwork, that episode art fills the card and the show art is overlaid in the bottom left to provide additional context. So he's showing both the episode and the show level artwork in that case, which is why you want to have custom artwork for each episode. And then links. When a link to a podcast episode is shared, that link preview will display the episode artwork. There are some areas where episode art is not displayed. For example, when multiple episodes from different shows are presented together, show art is used so that users have a better understanding where these episodes came from. This experience will be common on Browse, where our editorial team features episodes from several shows, as well as top charts and search. For podcasters producing episode art, here are a few tips to make it look great on Apple Podcasts. Episode art is sometimes displayed at a small size. Don't make the art too complex or include words that cannot be read at the small size. In other words, folks, shrink your artwork down to about 50 by 50 pixels and take a look at that. If you can't read what's there at 50 by 50 pixels, then you need to rethink about the text you have on there. Don't put War and Peace on your artwork. Very limited amount of text. Art can be a shortcut to identifying the episode that a user wants to listen to next in a list. Guest faces help create a quick connection. Episode numbers can also help listeners quickly scan when they know specifically where they want to start. Look at the Feed podcast as a great example of this. Okay, maybe I embellished that part. Art can be cropped, blurred, or have other elements overlaid. Use the safe zones provided in the template to make sure critical information is not obscured. In other words, remember the bottom 15% things can go over the bottom 15%. Avoid duplicating your art across all episodes. Not having episode art is better than having the same image across all episodes, unquote. So that's from Apple. So I want to thank Apple for that info. Now, Tim, back to your question. Remember, Apple Podcasts represents well over 50% of all podcasts consumption. So yes, episode artwork is very important, starting with iOS 17. That said, we've been highly recommending episode artwork for a long time. Other reasons for episode artwork for each episode is YouTube. if you are using our feature to publish to YouTube, if you have custom episode artwork, when we create that video for you for YouTube, it looks much better for your playlist on YouTube when each thumbnail is unique per each episode. Amazon Music is another reason for custom artwork. It has always done a great job showing episode artwork. And then there are other apps out there that do a good job with episode artwork. But Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music, if you want your show to look the best on those little platforms, then make sure you have unique artwork for each episode.
One of the questions that he has there that he said, is it worth the time, right? So extra time creating episode specific artwork. And I can tell you that the biggest investment in putting episode artwork out there is the initial iteration of what it's going to be for your show, right? So there are best practices to make sure that you don't waste your time or that it takes too long and adds more to getting an episode out. So one of the things that you need to pay attention to is maybe using a tool like Canva, which is where we, for the feed, have the episode artwork. And in Canva, you can create templates very easily. There are some templates already that exist for podcasts, meaning you don't have to really pay attention too much to the specs, but I will tell you when you do have to pay attention to them. So go inside of Canva and create 3 templates for your episode artwork. So if you have an interview show, it's really lovely to be able to just drag and drop people's headshots maybe in there, have an area where you have maybe the title of your episode in really nice, big, bold text. Like the bigger the text, the better. You might even amend possibly maybe some of the text if you have longer titles or something along those lines. You can make it really simple if it is an interview show and just have the face, like literally just the headshot of the person with your branding around it very subtly. That also helps very much to be able to do something like that. If you have in a co-hosted show or a solo show, maybe the leading topic of what you're putting in there, the way that we have ours is Rob and I have taken some photos in the past and we have different pictures of us together. And that's the key, having a little bit of a variance between one and the other. And that's the reason I say 3, because you can change the background color to just have that subtle difference. And if you don't want to use any headshots or any people faces, even if it's just the title of the episode in nice, big, readable font, it's fine. Change the color pattern of that matches your branding. Okay, so that's a really easy way to do it, because as soon as you're finished, go inside of Canva, really quickly update to the latest and greatest of what you have. And then when you export, and this is where you have to just pay attention, when you export from Canva, just make sure that you choose JPEG and you make it a little bit less in quote quality. There's like a little knobby thing that you move to like highest quality all the way to lowest quality. I would say you put it in below the 50%, and that shrinks down the size of the file when you export it, because remember, your artwork needs to be under 500 kilobytes. And you can actually see the export size, like an estimated export size within Canva too, if you just bring it down. You don't have to use Canva. I have found that to be the most helpful for me. But as long as you use a template that you can easily just drag and drop elements or update elements within, you're set. It's not going to take very long at all. And you can just upload it towards in the episode as easy as you can. It's really not that big of a deal. So I hope that that's helpful to you and it answers questions. If anybody else has any other questions, please send them over.
Do you have episode artwork? Or do you have any other questions that you would like us to answer or bring up or create another video about? Go ahead and drop them in the comments. Now, if you want to listen to the entire conversation, head on over to the YouTube playlist of the feed, the official Libsyn podcast, which is, there as a podcast here on YouTube. And I will see you next time.